Welcome to Small Arms Solutions. Today we're looking at the Foxtrot Mic or FM Manufacturing FM-15 Gen 2. Now this is a rifle I've had for quite some time. I probably would say maybe 6-7 months, because it was very interesting when I got it due to the fact that what we have here basically is an AR-15 that has a telescopic stock and your entire mechanism is within the upper receiver, which makes it so you can have a telescopic stock. It was a relatively new design. I had just learned of the manufacturer not too long ago as well. We did a video on their FM-9. The FM-15 Gen 2 is proprietary to Brownells. They have a sole sales with Brownells. And I had gotten this particular one quite a while ago, so we wanted to put some rounds through it. This was one of those ones that we don't just do 500 rounds. This particular one has had probably, I would say, upwards of 3,000 rounds through it over the last 7-8 months. FM Products was founded by two former Wilson Combat engineers, of Neil Trout and Paul Noonan. I actually contacted Paul Noonan right after I got this rifle from Brownells for review, and I wanted to learn a little bit more about what he did with it, and come to find there was quite a bit of very interesting things that were done on this. So then what we're going to do is we're going to go over it overall, and then we're going to start looking at the individual components. The first thing I want to talk about is the stock. We have 3 different stock assemblies that we have here. This is your standard AR-15 side-folding stock. And as you can see, since there's no buffer tube, you have to add one onto it to take the AR-15 type stock. And then as this one came with this upper and lower receiver we have here. This is the Magpul Zukov stock, which I tend to like the AR-15 stock a little bit better, but it also allows for the Zukov. And the next way that it is offered is it has the same back like you'd see on the SIG MPX, MCX, where you could take any of the SIG type braces or stocks, and you can put it on the 1913 rail on the rear. So pretty much you could put any of these kinds of stocks on that you would like, depending on what your preference is. Again, I tend to prefer the AR-15 type stock. That's one of the major differences you have here. Now the lower receiver and upper receiver, these are all billet 775 T6 aircraft grade aluminum. And as we see here, you have a ambi safety. This is a Mission First Tactical pistol grip. And the controls on the left-hand side is the standard AR-15 where you have your safety, you have your bolt catch, your magazine catch. But we also notice the charging handle is on the front. So this is charging from the front. So as we pull that back, we lock back to the rear. Now this is a non-reciprocating charging handle that is totally separate from the bolt carrier. And we take a look at the one we have down here with Disassemble. We'll go over more of those details. So we have a continuous 1913 rail on the top. And again, the biggest feature of this is the telescopic stock. Now, of course, to have all your mechanism in the inside, you have a lot of modifications that you have to make. When this was designed, some of the goals were to have it be lightweight, to be soft shooting, to be compact, and to not be over-gassed like many of the other ones that are. Now, when we talk about over-gassing, generally it's what we put on suppressors. So we're going to get into a little bit more of how this gun has been modified to accept suppressor, because we get a lot more back pressure. This can be purchased as a full gun or as just the upper receiver. It will mount on any standard AR-15 lower receiver. Now these lower receivers are standard AR-15, but they have the inserts on the rear to install a folding stock assembly. So basically disassemble the same way a regular AR-15 does. By pushing inward on your front pivot and your rear takedown pins, separate the upper and lower receiver. So I think what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about how we disassemble. Okay, so what we have here is a back plate, and we take any kind of a punch or any kind of a suitable tool. We push inward and push down. So that's unlocked. And from here, we can pull the recoil spring assembly right out. Then from there, we drop the bolt carrier right out. As you can see, we have a highly modified bolt carrier that goes along with the system. Now we're going to go over this from back to front, looking at the parts to see what's been done differently. Now starting with the lower receivers, we can see a standard mil-spec lower receiver. We have a standard hammer and trigger assembly, which you can put anything that you want in it. You can put any pistol grip that you want on it. This has the Mo, which is my preference right here. It also comes with Mission First Tactical. But this is manufactured by FM Products. So overall, this is not much different than any standard type lower receiver. Now, this is the Gen 2, but this is a newer model which has a fully adjustable gas system. You have 3 positions on this one, which you have one is for standard firing, one is for suppressed, and one is for adversed. Adverse can be for dirty or for using underpowered ammunition. The first version that came out did not have the adjustable gas system, which this one does. So we're going to take a look at this receiver. The first thing I want to talk about is the barrel nut itself. The barrel nut is what I refer to as taper lock. which means that this is a much more sturdy barrel nut than what you would have on a regular AR-15 because it does go into a taper. The barrel, we're looking at 4150 chrome moly vanadium. We're looking at 1 8-inch twist, 223 wild chamber on here. As you can see, we have a mid-length gas system. Now, the gas block is also relatively unique as well. It has an indexing pin on it, so we always get it to index properly before they drill and pin it in 2 positions. If you were to remove the gas tube, you have a hole right here. You'll be able to look down in that hole and you'll be able to directly see the gas port hole. So that helps for installation, making sure it's on straight every time. We have 2 holes, and we have pinned with spring pins. Comes with a standard flash suppressor on here. Now, we have removed this to fire it suppressed. I used an ASR mount so I could use my Silencer Co. 35M suppressor. Now, looking at the back, we have a standard AR-15 type receiver. There's no forward assist on here. We do have a cartridge case deflector. So now looking at the handguard, we're going to look at some other interesting aspects of it. First off is the recoil spring. Now, we have 2 recoil springs that are embedded within each other. Both these recoil springs are in opposite directions. Now, you have a total of 20 pounds on this recoil spring assembly. You have 12 on the outer, and you have 8 on the inner. Now, when you look at the springs, when they're fully compressed, the inner 8-pound spring is inside the gas key, and a 12-pound spring sits in the rear of the upper. Now, on the original design, when you were to switch over to suppressed, you would have a separate set of recoil springs to use suppressed that were heavier to deal with the higher port pressures. With the new generation with the adjustable gas system, now we're able to use 1 recoil spring by changing the setting on the gas. So again, 2 recoil springs embedded, 1 12-pound, 1 8-pound, and this is used for both suppressed and unsuppressed in the new version. Now looking at the handguard. The handguard, we have a adjustable charging handle. This can be done on 4 different positions. It can be up or down on the right side, up or down on the left side. All you need to do is to have a long Allen key, unscrew the index pin, pull it out, and adjust it any which way that you want. Right now it's set up for a left-hand side. That's basically what I would use it for. This is spring-loaded, of course, and it impacts directly on the front of the bolt carrier. Charging handle basically hits the top of the bolt carrier, and it's completely separate from the recoil mechanism. As we see, we have an M-lock handguard as well. Again, the new one has the holes here for use with the adjustable gas system. The original one did not. Next, you want to take a look at the bolt carrier. We do have a standard mil-spec type bolt carrier. We do have a rounded cam pin, which assists in not damaging the cam path in the upper receiver. And as you can see, also, we have the hole back here for the recoil spring assembly. And the front here, which is the face where the gas tube goes into, as well as the charging handle it packs against. Now, this is held in with 2 screws. Now, as you can imagine, you can't have these screws take the weight of the gases coming back. You have to have something additional on there so that doesn't those screws aren't under so much stress. Well, what FM Products has done is they have put down here a notch that's machined into the bottom of the carrier key, which mates into a notch on the bolt carrier. So basically, when this is being pushed rearward, the stress is on the bolt and bolt carrier, that notch, not on the springs. So that is an increase in durability, of course, which is necessary for that. Again, we pretty much have a standard bolt assembly. Disassembly is like any AR-15 M16 type rifle. You push in your firing pin retaining pin. That will lift out your firing pin. Then we rotate our cam pin. Lift the cam pin out and you remove the bolt carrier. And also you will see in the inside here, we have a spring. What that spring is due to the higher rate of fire. It works as a spring on the firing pin to keep the firing pin from inertia hitting and causing the cartridge to go off. With some ammunition, you tend to have lighter primers, and sometimes it's a benefit to have a spring on the firing pin so it prevents slam fire just from the inertia of the bolt. So this was an addition that was done more recently to the FM-15 with having that spring in there. Insert your bolt carrier, make sure we have our extractor at 3 o'clock. And again, we have a sight on here, so we make sure that we have that lined up. Drop it into position. We have to rotate that. Ugh, so stiff. Drop our spring. Firing pin. Push inward. Drop our retaining pin. And there we have it. So there we have the bolt carrier. Now getting back to the charging handle, we do have a different kind of charging handle as well. You can have more like an MP5 where it sticks out. It can be adjustable. So again, we just remove the set screw, and we can drop that in and put it in either the left or right hand side. As we see here, the system is updated from its beginning. The adjustable gas block, I think, is probably a very, very good addition to it. The only really criticism I can give to it is I wish it was more easy to get to it for it to adjust a little bit larger. That's probably the only real criticism I have for it. But for as far as the quality is concerned, FM Products has really gone out of its way to do a lot of things that are different, to make small incremental improvements in doing the system that they have. So I think what we're going to do now is we're going to the range. We're going to see how this shoots. Well, as you see, we shot, we're just about 3,500 rounds. Most of the ammunition was Winchester USA. We had some Black Hills. We had some Norma, as well as some SIG ammunition. Now, we also wanted to try this suppressed. As you can see from the target, this thing was quite accurate. There was no issues we had whatsoever. One of the things I would add to this is a little bit nicer of a trigger than the mill spec. Now, we shot suppressed with my Silencer Co. 36M. And, of course, with the suppressor, we did change out the recoil springs for that and had no problems whatsoever. The rifle had fired all this ammunition with no problems at all. Now, for those of you who do want to be able to have a side-folding stock and be able to fire, this is a rifle that was designed to do that, unlike trying to modify regular AR-15s to do it where you use a buffer. If you want a rifle that's truly going to be done with a side-folding stock and still going to function, this is an excellent option. Now, of course, there's been a lot of modifications that have been done to it to make it happen. Foxtrot Mike, quite frankly, I'd buy this with as a full rifle rather than as a drop-in, just due to the fact that you have a nice lower receiver, you have a beveled magazine well. It does lack ambi features, but you could always insert a Norgon ambi catch on the left-hand side for the magazine release. I did place some arms folding front sights on here for the iron sights, but overall, this is a really excellent rifle. I spent a little bit extra time with it because I was not as familiar with the company. When I did the pistol, we did a couple thousand rounds on that, and the pistol was incredible. The FM-9 was the only PCC I've ever fired that took Glock magazines that the magazine locked back every time. So you could tell that there was some engineering going on that was pretty outstanding compared to what a lot of other companies were doing. And the same thing came with the FM-15. Now, the FM-15 is available only through Brownells with the MSRP around the 900 mark in that area in there. For as far as longevity is concerned, there will be a follow-up on here. We are going to continue shooting. So if I'm going to switch over to this upper here, I want to do more suppressing, and we're going to do the adjustable gas valve. Because again, this is the newest system in which you can get right now. I would highly recommend getting the adjustable gas system if you're planning on using a suppressor. If you're not planning on using a suppressor, this one's fine. But if you want to use a suppressor, I definitely would go with the adjustable suppressor. I hope you like this video. If you do, please click like, please subscribe, and even better, share. Thank you.